Akademiks can't ride no wave.
Can I find it? Okay. That's a really good. It's a really good. I'm gonna speed it up too, though. Let's watch this.
In 2014, Twitch was the fourth largest source of internet traffic in the United States, behind Netflix, behind Google, behind Apple, but ahead of Facebook, ahead of Hulu, and ahead of Amazon itself. A decade later, that number is 18th, and the company that bought it for nearly $1 billion has started calling it something internally.
Okay, I'm gonna take a piss real quick, but everybody start coming over to Kick, and yeah, this is a really, if you do care about this streaming thing, I hope you guys watch this. It'll give you way more context about this new thriving streaming economy that people think is like making so much money. And creators are making money, but these companies are like, we're at an inflection point. And this is why, you know, as I predict with music and stuff like that, streaming there's going to be a shift, right? Just like when I said, what happened with music? Well, these people wanted to save money. They cut their staff. They wanted to rely on catalog, and everyone's complaining about, oh, music isn't going nowhere. Well, I'm telling you, when you watch this video, you'll figure out why streaming, or at least streaming on Twitch, because, like, for example, YouTube just has too much money. Like, they don't give a fuck if they lose. And it's already baked in a cake where they're like, they can't lose, right? They cross-collateralize. They have shorts, videos. They have everything, right? Podcasts. They have music. They have everything. But listen to this. Give me a second. I got to take this.
Phrase that should terrify anyone who's ever built anything inside a corporation: a zombie brand. That's the actual term Amazon employees use, a zombie brand. Something that's technically still alive, still running, still burning cash, but for all practical purposes, dead on arrival. Parked next to the Goodreads and Mechanical Turk, in the corporate graveyard of acquisitions that never lived up to the pitch deck. Here are the numbers, and they're brutal. Average viewers on Twitch, down 21% from the peak. Revenue, down over $2 billion to an estimated $1.8 billion, and falling. Workforce, cut in half. Nearly 1,000 employees laid off in just over a year. The CEO went on record and said, quote, "We aren't profitable at this point." That's 10 years. 10 years under Amazon, a company that made $68 billion in operating income last year, and Twitch still can't turn a profit. Meanwhile, YouTube Live now commands over 45% of all live streaming hours watched on the planet. A startup called Kick, backed by a crypto casino billionaire, grew 131% in a single year. And TikTok Live quietly passed Twitch to become the #2 live streaming platform in total hours. Twitch didn't just lose its crown, it lost the plot. This is the story of how the platform that invented modern live streaming, the place that gave us Twitch Plays Pokemon, that launched thousands of careers, that turned playing video games into a billion-dollar industry, managed to drive away its creators, alienate its viewers, and burn...
Now, again, I'm also trying to save you a little bit of time. It seems like it's like a 20-minute video. I don't want to bore you with all 20 minutes. It's not boring. It's pretty entertaining. There's a website you could calculate it. How much does... So, Twitch, even Kick, they run on... Remember, I've been telling you about these, like, you know, data centers for, like, AI. Well, the most popular data centers were owned by Amazon. It's called AWS, Amazon Web Services. Now we're having OpenAI and, well, Oracle that's, you know, doing OpenAI because they're a little bit more complicated and whatever. But just to let you know, the web servers that host live streams, they're actually under, for the most part, AWS, with the exception of Rumble. Rumble has their own, right? That's the biggest cost of live streaming. So remember, Twitch started out as something called Justin TV. And essentially, the idea is to have people tune into somebody like vlogging or something. Now, the reason why you might be like, okay, how could Kai have 1 million subs, right? Everybody wants to stream and it's still unprofitable. Because it costs so much to host a stream that is able to send out bandwidth and broadcast to so many people. There's actually a website that monitors it. Which, by the way, here's the thing. This is why Amazon doesn't give two fucks or care too much about, like, you know, they're not like threatened by Kick, because Kick and Twitch are both using Amazon Web Services. So anyway, so it says how much, you guys can look up the site yourself. How much does it cost for a live stream? The fuck? Twitch. There's like a calculator. I don't know if I can find it. It says it's like Twitch cost. There's like a calculator. Let me just look up Twitch streaming cost calculator. Yes. And I just want to just use this for a little bit, that you guys could kind of like, you know, maybe this is it right here. Okay. So just to put in perspective, right? So it says, what's the average concurrent viewers? So I've told you how much people make with money with like streaming, but let's say you're a small streamer. You do 250 viewers concurrent, which is actually pretty good, on Twitch, and you stream for 7 hours every couple days. Okay, but let's say this is one of your days, you average 250 viewers for 7 hours. Okay, let's calculate how much you cost the company. Now, you've cost the company $400. Now, remember, you as a creator, you want to get paid. So you cost the company $300. If you want to get, like, how much you think would be fair for you to get paid for, you know, let's use 1,000. Let's use 1,000. And this is going to show why streaming is just highly unprofitable. There's a path to profitability, as I've said, but let's say 1,000. If someone does 1,000 viewers and they stream for 7 hours a day, you'd probably think, bro, let's say 5 hours, right? 5 hours, right? How much money do you think they should make? You think, like, I don't know. How about $100 an hour? Do you think that's fine? If they have 1,000 viewers and they stream for 5 hours a day, would you think that $100 per hour would be good for them? Let's just go with that number. So let's say you would think that they should get paid $500, right? Let's do the calculation. Well, their cost to the company is $1,000, right? So the company, Twitch or Kick, by the way, so it's both, they had to pay out $1,000 for that stream to happen. Who are they paying? They're paying Amazon Web Services, or whoever is the data center / cloud thing that is hosting the stream, broadcasting the stream, and yeah. So they spent $1,000 on it. Well, you feel like you should get, right? You feel like you should get $500, right? So cool. We're gonna ignore this ad revenue thing here, because obviously, you know, you could just pump ads. So what does Twitch do? Well, Twitch is gonna try to fit as many ads in 5 hours, right? Let's do 180 ads, 180 ads, 180 ads. CPM for this, CPM for 1,000 viewers. Twitch usually have good CPM. Let's say it's even 20, right? Which means cost per million, which means when you run like a full ad, it will be $20, right? For them to get the money they spent on the stream, 1,000, and still pay you 500 and make a profit, they probably need to make around $2,000, right? Does that make sense? They spent 1,000 on the stream. You want to get paid 500. Well, they want to make money too. So let's say they make 500. So they spend 1,000, you make 500, they make 500. That's $2,000. That becomes the problem. For smaller streamers, it's almost like impossible. let's use Cosnet for an example now. 400,000, and this is actual cost. Like they got to pay for Cosnet stream too. You get what I'm saying? So 400,000 streams, and matter of fact, 400,000 average. Let's say two. What do you average during his subathon or mafiathon? Let's say 150,000. He averaged 150,000 viewers, right? So for one day, 24 hours. Let's see how much money Twitch had to spend to host Kai Cenat stream. Damn near $1 million. Now, I think this is a little bit more inflated, actually, because I think this DTO costs, I think we could, if it's optional, let's get it out of here. My bad. Here, stream hours, 24. This is the idea. So Kai Cenat having a mafiathon cost the company $800,000 a day, right? Because he's pulling over 100,000 or 150,000 concurrent viewers, and to keep all of them on through that data center, right? And I'm pretty sure, Twitch is owned by Amazon. Maybe they get a discount. So this is just like a stock type of thing. But regardless, it's a lot of fucking money. And if you're asking, well, why isn't this thing not profitable? Because now when you have 150,000 people for 24 hours, you need to run ads to get to $800,000. You need to add up your subscriptions to get to $800,000 to break even with Kai Cenat. So essentially, if you just think about streaming, it's so hard to become profitable. Now, granted, over time, streams like Kai Cenat, they do become profitable, right? Or big streamers like that. However, they're losing a shit ton of money on smaller streamers who might have some viewers, but no subs. Anyway, I'll
earned through nearly $1 billion of Amazon's money with nothing to show for it. And it all starts with a webcam strapped to a baseball cap.
Okay.
On March 19th,
all right, I'm going to skip past how it started, and I'm just going to kind of they're going to bring
2011, the gaming category was so massive that the team spun it off into its own category. They named it after the split-second reactions that define competitive gaming, Twitch gameplay. Twitch.tv launched on June 6, 2011, with Emmett Shear as CEO. The growth was absurd. 3.2 million monthly users in 2011, 20 million by 2012, 45 million unique viewers by 2013, and by February 2024, Twitch was the fourth largest source of peak internet traffic in the United States, ahead of Facebook. Google saw what was happening and moved first. They reached a preliminary deal to buy Twitch for about $1 billion. But here's where the story gets interesting. Antitrust concerns killed.
All right, chat. Everybody move over to Kick. I'm cutting it off in literally about two minutes. We have this topic, and then I have about 4 or 5 more topics before we're out of here, right?
That deal. Google already owned YouTube. Regulators would have looked very hard at one company owning both YouTube and the dominant gaming live stream platform.
By the way, just to let you know, this is equivalent to Netflix thing, right? So Netflix owns live stream, or not live stream. They own movie streaming. They were also going to buy a movie company, and that's why people are saying, well, regulators shouldn't let that happen. The same thing happened when YouTube tried to buy Twitch, and it didn't get to regulators. They just couldn't agree on a breakup fee, so YouTube just moved on.
The two sides couldn't agree on a breakup fee if regulators blocked it, so the deal collapsed, and Amazon swooped in. On August 25th, 2014, Jeff Bezos announced the acquisition, $970 million, all cash. It was the largest acquisition in Amazon's 21-year history. The logic on paper? Twitch gave Amazon the world's largest community of online gamers, a platform for advertising, a vehicle for promoting Amazon's own game titles, and, this part often gets overlooked, a fire hose of user data. Every Twitch user was a potential Amazon Prime customer. Every streamer was a potential product evangelist. And for a while, it looked like genius. In February 2014, something happened on Twitch that had never happened anywhere else on the internet. An anonymous Australian programmer set up a stream of Pokemon Red and connected it to the chat. Viewers could type commands up, down, left, right.
Okay, we don't care about the history as much. We kind of care about why, the idea of how, it's so hard to make money.
Audiences. Viewers are loyal to the platform, not the.
Okay.
During the second quarter of 2020, Twitch viewership surged over 70%. Average concurrent viewers spiked from 1.26 million to 2.75 million by 2021. Hours watched hit an all-time record of 24.3 billion that year. Twitch's employee count ballooned to around 1,800. Celebrities were streaming, politicians were streaming, everyone was streaming. But here's the thing about sugar highs. They end, and what comes after is the crash. The world reopened, people left their houses, and the metrics started sliding. Average concurrent viewers, 2.75 million in 2021. Okay. 2.65 watch time. That
again, I'm not trying to bore you with the details you might not care about. I'm trying to just show you how streaming is like a really difficult business. So here we go.
deliver. Unlike YouTube, which mostly serves pre-recorded video that can be cached and distributed efficiently, Twitch has to push millions of simultaneous, low-latency, high-definition streams in real time across the internet. Google's custom transcoding chips process video at roughly 40 times lower cost than the standard CPUs Twitch relies on.
Okay, so already, because Google doesn't work off AWS, Google has their own proprietary things, their own data centers. They're saying that Google is able to give YouTube live streams at 40 times more of an efficient rate, and I would imagine cost per dollar, than Twitch or anyone who uses AWS. Now, maybe that has caught up because I guess, we're in a live streaming era right now, but historically that's what it is, which means Twitch would pay pretty much 40 times more for the same product or the same viewership as Google.
Gap isn't a minor competitive disadvantage, it's a chasm. And Twitch's advertising infrastructure is primitive by comparison. YouTube's ad platform is self-service. Anyone can run ads for a few dollars. Twitch's requires direct sales engagement with budgets starting at tens of thousands. One streamer ran the numbers publicly. He earned $30.58 in ad revenue from an entire month of streaming on Twitch, 100 unskippable ads across 90 hours. Meanwhile, a single 8-hour YouTube stream earned him almost $90, 3 times as much. About 90% of Twitch creator revenue comes from fan funding, subscriptions, donations, bits, not ads. That means Twitch is fundamentally reliant on its most dedicated fans opening their wallets. And those fans, they're spending less than they used to. For years, Twitch's top partnered streamers had a deal, 70-30. Their creator kept 70% of subscription revenue. Twitch kept 30. It was considered fair. The streamers created the content, built the communities, bought their own equipment, moderated their own chats. Twitch provided the servers and the audience. 70-30 felt like a partnership. Then in December 2022, Twitch's president Dan Clancy dropped a bomb. The 70-30 split would be capped at the first $100,000 in subscription revenue. Everything above that, 50-50. For standard partners, it was 50-50 across the board. The backlash was nuclear. Clancy's justification that a 70-30 split wasn't viable long-term rang hollow when creators could look across the aisle and see YouTube offering 70-30 to everyone, and a new platform called Kick offering 95-5. Let me say that again, 95% to the creator, 5% to the platform. 22,000 streamers signed a petition demanding better terms. YouTube's gaming head responded publicly. The creator should be getting a disproportionate amount. This shouldn't even be up for debate. Twitch eventually created the Partner Plus program in June 2023, resorting 70-30, but only for streamers who maintain 350 recurring paid subscribers for 3 consecutive months. That's roughly the top 1,000 creators on the platform with 14 million streamers. The other 99.99%, 50-50, take it or leave it. And then came the data breach that changed everything. In October 2021, a hacker exploited a server configuration error and dumped 125 gigabytes of Twitch's internal data onto 4chan. The entire source code, internal security tools, proprietary development kits, plans for an unreleased Steam competitor, codenamed Vapor. One cybersecurity expert compared it to KFC losing its secret recipe. But the most damaging part? 3 years of creator payout reports. Every streamer's earnings from 2019 to 2021, published for the world to see. Critical Role, 9.6 million. XQC, 8.4 million. Summit 1G, 5.8 million. Those numbers sound great, but here's what the leak really exposed. The streaming economy was an incredibly steep pyramid. 72.6% of Twitch streamers made $0. Another 15% earned between $1 and $25 a month. The top 1% captured almost all the revenue. The rest provided free content that kept the platform alive. Twitch couldn't protect the financial privacy of its own creators, and it couldn't explain why the deal kept getting worse.
Okay, so that's interesting to note. When it comes to live streaming and everyone thinks the meta is like, it's pretty much the 1% that's making all the money, right? Like, the rest of the people aren't really making money at all.
The people who built the place. The creators weren't the only ones getting squeezed. Twitch turned on its viewers too. When Twitch Prime launched, one of its biggest selling points was ad-free viewing across the entire site. Link your Amazon Prime account, never see an ad, simple, popular, effective. In August 2018, Twitch killed that feature. No more ad viewing for Prime members. If you wanted that back, you could pay an extra $89.99 a month for something called Twitch Turbo.
Okay.
The RIAA fired off over 18 British streamer named Slyker, trained on Google's custom TPU silicon, surfaces live streams to viewers watching related shorts, VODs, and search results. Every live stream automatically becomes a permanent, searchable, algorithmically recommended video that keeps earning money forever. On Twitch, VODs auto-delete after 14 days for most users. The discoverability gap is devastating. Twitch's browse page...
They're going deep into the weeds. What I was really trying to show you is just how it's so expensive for, okay, this is a little bit of it.
Parasocial energy, it's real. The community loyalty can only carry a platform so far when the economics, the technology, and the management keep pushing people away. Twitch's problems aren't limited to the United States. They're global. In December 2023, Twitch announced it was pulling out of South Korea entirely. South Korea, one of the most important esports markets on Earth, the birthplace of competitive StarCraft, home to some of the fastest internet infrastructure anywhere. Twitch said network fees there were 10 times more expensive than in most other countries. South Korean ISPs operate on a sender pays model, charging content providers for the bandwidth they consume. It violates basic net neutrality principles. ISPs double dip, charging both the consumer for their internet connection and the platform for delivering the content. Twitch tried everything. They capped stream quality at 720p. They killed VOD service for Korean creators.
So this might be going over people's heads. So like, this like streaming is so expensive. And by the way, Netflix went through this too. So Netflix beefed a lot. And that's why there's this thing called net neutrality. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Net neutrality. It's basically like this principle that ISPs must treat data all equally. Because what they used to do was they started realizing that a lot of people who were just streaming, like say from Netflix, they would bog down the network. And they were like, well, we don't want to, like, we're going to put a speed block or we're going to put like a speed limit on traffic from Netflix, and Netflix or maybe the user got to pay us to be able to watch Netflix, right? And essentially net neutrality was a thing where it says they got to see all traffic as traffic. It doesn't matter where the source or the destination of it is. And in early 2026, so net neutrality, there became laws on the book that were instated, and without that, we wouldn't really have like Netflix, because these ISPs would realize, since everyone's moving from watching TV to actually using Netflix, it was bogging down their network, and they would have to upgrade their network capability to be able to support that. And they're like, yo, why don't y'all niggas just go watch TV? Also, they own television stations, right? Like, I don't know if you guys, let's say Comcast or Xfinity or Verizon, like they own, you know, not television stations, but they own cable companies, which is they want you to watch TV on cable, not watch TV through the internet and slow down the internet, right? But net neutrality kind of got them to, yo, you got to treat everything as everything, and yeah, kind of fucked up at least ISP's way of how they could look at shit.
They experimented with peer-to-peer delivery. Nothing worked. The platform had been operating at a significant loss in Korea with no pathway forward. Korean streamers migrated to a free-to-TV.
So in Korea, they said that the users had to pay directly. So if you want to go stream video games, they have a right to charge you more. And, you know, places like Twitch are trying to figure out a way. Like if you want to stream Netflix, you want to stream Twitch, you got to pay more. And they couldn't get around the government.
TV and YouTube. In China, Twitch has been blocked since 2018. In Russia, the platform has faced fines and legal conflicts tied to content regulations and sanctions. In Turkey, a money laundering scheme exploited Twitch's bits currency. Stolen credits were used to buy bits and funnel money through streamers. Turkish police detained dozens of people. These aren't isolated incidents. They're symptoms of a fundamental